Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into a really big shift happening in education. We're talking about artificial intelligence, AI, and how it's making learning incredibly personal. We've gone through, well, quite a stack of research, and what's really jumping out is how AI is pushing us past that old one-size-fits-all classroom idea. For you listening, this could mean a future where education really truly adapts to your specific needs.
Exactly. I mean, just imagine an educational path that's designed completely around you, how you learn best, the pace that works for you, even, where and when you want to learn. The core idea, and some of our sources really hammer this home, is meeting each learner exactly where they are and then guiding them towards their potential, really focusing on the whole individual. It's a pretty fundamental shift, actually, moving away from being teacher-centric or curriculum-centric to being student-centric.
And a big player in making this happen is something called intelligent tutoring systems. ITS for short. Okay, so let's unpack this a little. What are we talking about here? Imagine AI delivering lessons tailored just for you. These systems are constantly learning how you're doing, giving immediate feedback, and even tweaking the material based on what you seem to need. The potential there, for boosting learning outcomes and making education just more available, it seems pretty remarkable.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember it's not just these ITS systems, though they are key. We're also seeing AI being woven into, well, adaptive learning platforms more broadly, systems that modify your whole learning journey based on how you're performing. And even AI tools for assessment that can gauge understanding in ways that are, frankly, much more insightful than old school tests.
Right. And for this deep dive, we've pulled together some really cutting edge stuff. We're looking at research from Park University that really breaks down the ITS components. Then there's Hanover research on best practices for personalized learning, specifically grades 4 to 9, which is an interesting focus. We've also got insights from e-learning industry on the crucial issue of data privacy in all this. An article from Digital Define looking at the rise of these AI tutors. Oxford University Press gives us teacher perspectives, which is vital. And a broad overview from the Pakistan Journal of Life and Social Sciences on AI's impact. What's really interesting is how current some of this is published recently, even talking about 2025 projections. It shows just how fast this field is moving.
It really does. And the thing is, we're not just talking theory here. These sources give us concrete examples of how AI is being used right now, and they offer a pretty clear glimpse into what might be coming next.
Okay, so our mission today is really to cut through all this information. We want to pull out the most important insights for you, the listener, explore the real benefits, yes, but also the limitations, the ethical stuff, and where this is all pointing. Basically, give you a clear picture without drowning you in technical jargon.
Sounds good. So maybe the best place to start is really understanding what these intelligent tutoring systems are actually made of.
Right.
That Park University research breaks them down into four core elements.
All right, lay it on us. What are the building blocks?
Okay, first up is the domain model. You can think of this as like the system's complete knowledge base for the subject, everything it needs to know, concepts, skills, facts, it's all in there. It's the foundation.
Right. So if it's teaching, say, chemistry, the domain model has all the chemistry rules, formulas, reactions, etc. Makes sense. What's next?
Second is the student model. Now, this is where the AI becomes a very close observer of you, the learner. It's constantly tracking your progress, figuring out what you've got down pat, and maybe more importantly, where you're still struggling a bit.
So it's building this dynamic, personalized profile for every single student using it.
Exactly, yeah. The number three is the tutoring model. This is where the real intelligence comes in, you could say. It takes the information from the domain model, what needs teaching, and the student model, how you're doing, and figures out the best way to teach you right now, the best strategy.
Huh. So it's not just spitting out facts, it's actively deciding on the best pedagogical approach for that moment, for that specific learner. Okay, and the last piece.
And finally, there's the user interface model. This is, well, pretty straightforward. Is how you actually interact with the system, how information is presented to you, how you give answers or input. It needs to be intuitive, engaging, easy to use.
Yeah, you could have the smartest AI in the world, but if the interface is clunky or confusing, it kind of falls apart, doesn't it?
Okay.
That helps clarify what IS actually involves. Now let's get into the why. Why are these systems and AI and personalized learning generally causing such a buzz? What are the big benefits?
Well, probably the most talked about advantage is personalized learning at scale. That's huge. Think about a regular classroom. It's incredibly difficult, maybe impossible, for one teacher to perfectly tailor everything to 20, 30, or more individual students' needs simultaneously. But AI, It can potentially assess performance and adjust learning paths in real time for, well, massive numbers of learners all at once.
That really is a fundamental change. Hanover Research mentioned Carnegie Learning's Mathia as an example. The system actually changes the math problems based on how the student is doing. And it's not just about making it harder or easier, right? I remember reading somewhere that sometimes varying the type of problem or how it's presented can matter more for retention than just difficulty.
That's exactly right. It's more sophisticated than just difficulty scaling. The AI might select different kinds of explanations, maybe more visual ones for one student, more text-based for another, whatever seems to work best based on that student model. Another huge plus is 247 accessibility and cost effectiveness. AI learning tools are just there, anytime, anywhere you've got internet. That really breaks down geographical barriers, time constraints, and often, yeah, can be a lot cheaper than traditional one-on-one tutoring.
Yeah. Digital Defined point to Duolingo's AI chatbots for language practice. Like, you can literally practice Spanish conjugations at 3 a.m. if the mood strikes, and the cost compared to a human tutor is often minimal.
Right. And then there's the instant feedback and automated grading. This is big too. AI tools can spot errors immediately so you can correct misunderstandings right away, not 8 days for feedback. Plus, for teachers, think about tools like Turnitin's AI grading assistant. Automating some of that grading frees them up.
That's a really good point. Less time spent on maybe the more routine marking, more time actually interacting with students, planning, addressing deeper issues. That sounds like a win.
Absolutely. And all this often leads to improved engagement and understanding. Because the tools adapt, they can keep things challenging but not overwhelming. They analyze learning patterns, tailor the content. This seems to boost engagement and comprehension across the board. K-12, higher ed, even corporate training, as Park University points out.
Yeah, you mentioned corporate training. Park University talked about ITs offering practice-based instruction there, letting employees build skills in simulated environments, automating some routine training. That could be a major efficiency boost for
It
companies.
really could. And in universities, we're seeing AI tools helping with streamlined research, providing access to cutting-edge resources, running complex simulations. It's partly about preparing students for a job market that's going to be increasingly AI-driven. They need to understand this stuff.
Definitely. And there was one more benefit that jumped out at me from the Pakistan Journal. The potential for identifying at-risk students, using predictive analytics on learning data to flag students who might be starting to struggle really early on.
That's a critical application, actually. Getting those early interventions in place can make a world of difference for a student's success. It could really help improve retention rates and just overall educational outcomes. So yeah, lots of potential upsides. But, and this is a big but, we absolutely have to look at the limitations and challenges too.
Right, exactly. Nothing's ever a perfect solution, is it? There are always hurdles. So what are some of the main downsides or challenges our sources highlight?
Well, for starters, that Park University article mentions the cost of development. It's not trivial. Building really robust, effective IFES with genuinely interactive content and clever adaptive algorithms, that takes significant investment. Research, tech, expertise, it's expensive.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Building AI that can truly personalize at scale is a serious technical lift. What else?
Another potential issue is a lack of nuanced understanding, perhaps. AI is fantastic at crunching data, spotting patterns, adapting content based on those patterns. But it might struggle with the subtleties of human learning, those intuitive leaps, the creative connections, the aha moments that sometimes come out of nowhere.
I can definitely see that. Learning isn't just downloading information, is it? It's about connecting dots, critical thinking, creativity,
Yeah,
things that are harder to quantify.
precisely. And that ties into another concern, the potential limitation of self-directed study and critical thinking. If learners get too used to the AI paving the way, always guiding the next step, is there a risk they won't develop those crucial skills for learning independently, for questioning things? The Pakistan Journal touches on this too, the risk of hindering self-directed study if students lean too heavily on the algorithms.
So the very tool designed to help could inadvertently make students a bit too passive in their own education. That's a tricky balance.
It is. And our sources also suggest that while IS can be incredibly effective for highly structured subjects, think math, coding, maybe grammar, developing systems that are just as good for more open-ended subjective fields, humanities, arts, ethics, that's a much bigger challenge.
Yeah, trying to imagine an AI effectively tutoring someone on, say, interpreting Shakespeare or debating philosophical concepts, it's hard to picture it capturing the real depth there.
Exactly. And while we talked about automated grading as a benefit, We also need to acknowledge the limitations of automated grading. These systems might be great at catching factual errors or grammatical mistakes, but can they really assess the depth of someone's argument, the originality of their insight, the, sophistication of their thinking? Maybe not so well.
Right, so it might catch that you used the wrong formula, but miss whether you actually understand the underlying concept or came up with a really creative approach.
That's the worry, yes. And finally, a really crucial point from the Pakistan Journal, the need for very careful implementation. If AI tools are just thrown into schools without proper planning, teacher training, student support, they could actually end up making existing inequalities worse, not better.
These are all really important points to keep in mind. It's clear AI has massive potential, but we need to be smart and careful about how we integrate it. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about the teachers in all this? Is the rise of AI tutors pointing towards a future where teachers become obsolete?
While the overwhelming message from our sources is pretty clear, AI is seen as a tool to assist teachers, definitely not replace them. Think of AI handling some of the administrative load, helping optimize lesson plans maybe, tracking progress automatically, suggesting interventions.
Right, taking over some of the tasks that currently eat up a lot of teacher time, freeing them up for more, well, human interaction.
Exactly that. The Digital Divide article really emphasizes this. Human teachers are still absolutely essential for things like student engagement, building that positive classroom culture, providing emotional support, nurturing creativity, facilitating collaboration, developing critical thinking. All those vital, uniquely human aspects of education.
So that human connection, the mentorship, the ability to inspire,
Yeah.
that's irreplaceable.
Absolutely. Which really highlights the need for teacher-AI collaboration models. Designing AI systems specifically to support and enhance what educators do, not try to take over. And of course, this means there's a huge need for proper training and ongoing professional development for teachers. They need to feel comfortable and skilled in using these new tools effectively.
Yeah, the Oxford University Press research pointed out how crucial teachers' attitudes are, and their ability to guide students on how to use these AI tools effectively and critically. It's about teaching students to learn with AI, not just be taught by it.
That's a perfect way to put it. Teachers will be key in helping students learn to evaluate AI-generated information, use the tools responsibly, and understand their limitations.
Okay, so it's definitely not about robots taking over classrooms. It's more like giving teachers powerful new assistants. Let's make this more concrete. What are some real-world examples of AI already being used in personalized learning? Our sources mentioned a few.
They did. Digital Define mentioned Squirrel AI in China. That's a big adaptive learning platform for K-12. And interestingly, while it apparently shows good results for engagement, the educators using it still stress that AI just can't replicate human mentorship for things like critical thinking.
That's telling, isn't it? Even in a system heavily reliant on AI, that human element is still seen as vital for deeper learning.
It really is. They also mentioned Georgia Tech's Jill Watson, remember that one? The AI teaching assistant for online courses. Jill apparently handled a huge volume of student questions quite well, showing how AI can definitely manage those more routine communication tasks.
Yeah, a clear case of AI handling logistical heavy lifting.
Park University brought up Carnegie Learning's Mathia, again, that adaptive math tutor. And Digital Defined also mentioned Duolingo, obviously, with its chatbots for language learning accessibility, and Turnitin for plagiarism checks and automated essay feedback.
Hanover Research had some interesting ones too, like the School of One in the New York City Department of Education, using assessments to figure out learning styles and then creating daily personalized playlists of learning activities. That sounds quite tailored.
It does, yeah, a really granular approach. They also mentioned the Academy of Personalized Learning in Redding, California, a K-12 charter school focused on personalization, strong parent involvement, and using a mix of online resources.
So these examples really show the variety, don't they? AI and personalization being applied in different ways, different settings, different age groups. Looking forward then, what's the crystal ball saying? What do our sources suggest about the future path for ISS and AI and personalized learning?
Park University suggests that personalized learning is only going to become more central. They see AI getting even better at analyzing finer-grained data to really pinpoint individual learning styles, specific knowledge gaps. They even floated the idea of AI generating super-targeted exercises on the fly, like drills specifically designed to improve your reading comprehension skills based on exactly where you're struggling.
Wow, so even more hyper-personalized experiences down the line.
That seems to be the direction, yeah. They also talked about the enhancement of traditional assessments, moving towards more adaptive testing, where the test itself changes in real time based on your answers. The difficulty adjusts. The idea is to get a much more accurate snapshot of what you actually know and can do compared to a standard static test.
That could definitely give a richer picture of learning progress, couldn't it? More dynamic.
It could. And the Pakistan Journal raised a really interesting, maybe slightly futuristic possibility: the integration of emotional analytics. The concept is that future AI systems might be able to perceive and perhaps even respond to a student's emotional state, frustration, boredom, engagement, to create a more supportive learning environment.
Huh. That's fascinating. Also raises some pretty big questions about privacy and how you'd even interpret that data correctly, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Big ethical considerations there. But it shows where some researchers are thinking this could go. But, it's crucial to remember, as Hanover Research points out, that personalized learning isn't just about the tech, right?
That's a very important point, yes. They highlighted several key elements that go beyond AI. Things like fostering student-led learning, giving students more agency in their education, and emphasizing learning outside the traditional classroom community projects, real-world application.
Exactly. And they stress the ongoing importance of increased parental involvement, which is key in many personalized models. Plus, the need for really sophisticated data systems, not necessarily AI, but systems to track progress effectively and help teachers make informed decisions.
And they mentioned the value of real-time assessment that actually feeds back into improving instruction right away. Alongside more flexible learning options, things like credit flexibility, maybe moving away from strict grade level.
Right. And moving towards competency and performance-based frameworks where mastery is the goal, not just seat time. Plus, the continued importance of blended and online learning approaches. And they really hammered home the need for strong communication with everyone involved, parents, teachers, the community, to get buy-in and make sure these initiatives work.
So it sounds like the vision is really holistic. AI and tech are powerful tools, absolutely, but they fit into this broader picture of student-centered education, flexible structures, and engaged communities.
That sums it up perfectly, I think. AI is a potentially transformative tool, but it works best when it's thoughtfully woven into that bigger educational ecosystem that truly puts the individual learner first.
Okay, so bringing this all together then.
Huh.
Our deep dive definitely shows AI is making serious waves in education through personalized learning. There's clearly some exciting potential there for more individualized instruction, better accessibility, real benefits.
Definitely. But as we've discussed, it's vital we stay grounded about the limitations, the challenges, ethical and practical, and the fact that this tech is still evolving. And that human element, especially the teacher's role, remains absolutely central.
It really seems like the most promising path forward isn't AI or human teachers, but a blend. A hybrid model where AI acts as a powerful assistant, augmenting, not replacing, those crucial human skills in teaching and learning, creating something truly blended and personalized.
Absolutely. It's about using AI's strengths to empower both the learners and the educators.
So maybe here's a final thought for everyone listening to chew on. As AI gets more and more sophisticated in our schools and universities, what's our collective responsibility? As learners, as educators, as institutions, how do we ensure these incredibly powerful tools are used ethically and effectively? How to make sure they genuinely enrich learning for everyone, fostering not just knowledge, but also those critical human skills, creativity, empathy, critical thinking? And how do we keep that vital human connection at the heart of it all, even as the technology advances? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.